Hi, I'm Marta Benavides. It's time for Socialife. Coming up, how can we help protect our planet? CBS 4 and KVEO Chief Meteorologist Bryan Hale joins us for an in-depth conversation about climate change. No more barriers. Hear about an organization that's providing opportunities for those living with disabilities right here in the Valley. Plus, getting ready for that special occasion, Kay is back and she is ready to show us how to toast with style. Don't miss it. We'll be right back with more Socialife.
This is a generation-defining moment. And like every such moment, we will be defined not by the challenge itself, but by what we do now. During this unprecedented time, know that we at UT Health RGV will always be here to serve the entire Rio Grande Valley, to save lives, to keep us safe, and to preserve our community.
Thank you.
You are our heroes.
Well, hello. I know it's not easy during this pandemic, getting used to a new way of living and working. It's certainly no fun for anyone. But remember, times like this are a catalyst for innovation and opportunity, but only for those that have an abundance mentality, only for those who choose positivity and who look in the bright side of things. Look at the silver linings. We have become closer to the ones we've loved during this time. We've appreciated our family more than ever. And so look at the bright side and remember that those who choose to have an abundance mentality and those who choose to be positive, those who choose happiness, you're gonna figure out a better way through this. So please wear a mask wherever you go and you'll be fine. And just be safe, be healthy, and we wish you the best during these difficult times. God bless you, and we love you. Now, Martha, back to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Perez, for your words of encouragement. We keep hearing so much about climate change, but what does it mean to you and me, and why should we care? Here to share his perspective on a subject he knows very much about is my dear friend, Chief Meteorologist Bryan Hale from KVEO and CBS 4. I want to welcome you, my friend. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. It's so good to work with you again, Martha. You know, when I came to the Rio Grande Valley, you were my inspiration, my guide. You were my spiritual guide to the Rio Grande Valley, and that I will never forget you for that. That really did me a good turn. And to let your viewers know that one of my favorite memories of Martha is when I first started in the valley, and it was like my second day, and there was rain coming up the coast of Mexico, and I called it the state of Tamaulipas. And Martha laughed so hard.
As I am now.
He said, "No, honey, it's Tamaulipas. It's not Tamaulipas." So that's one of my favorite memories. So anywho, yeah, we're talking about climate change. It's certainly in the mix these days because of the horrific wildfires going on in the West. And before that, the ones that were going on in Australia. And it just is on everybody's mind. Climate change is a huge topic. I mean, it's giant, and I want to cut it down into two pieces, and that is stewardship versus politics. Stewardship is basically what you can do. Politics is what it is, and that is also an important part of it. But stewardship is what you at home can do to solve the problem. As far as climate change in general, yes, we live on a living, breathing planet, and it changes it evolves. Things happen. Things move around. I mean, when a hurricane comes through, everyone thinks how horrible that is. But really, hurricanes provide an invaluable service to our planet. Lightning kills people. It can, and it causes damage. It starts fires, but it also cleans our atmosphere in part of some radiation. I mean, it's an invaluable element to our planet, but it can be very dangerous. So the planet itself is a living, breathing organism. And when it heats up, well, then the poles melt and people panic. But that polar melt then lowers the salinity in the oceans, which then cools the planet. So you've got there's this huge cycle going on. But of course, on the other side of the coin, there's what is man doing to hasten this issue. So that's something that we can all, kind of chip in and help out with. Is that, am I going in the right direction for you, Martha?
Absolutely are, Brian. We're talking about those variations in the Earth's orbit that we know, history has shown. We're going to see changes in our climate. But I guess my question to you is, why is everybody paying closer attention to it right now?
Because it's a matter of social media.
Yeah.
Let's say, here's a good example. You know as well as I do, having lived in the valley for so long, that the African dust that blows across from Africa and makes the air quality low and it impacts hurricane season, that's old news to those of us who have lived here for a long time. But the younger generation, this last year, just went absolutely nuts with it because it's a social media thing now. And the African dust was top bill on all the forecast issues. And for those of us who've been here a long time, it's like, okay, that's just another issue. But social media, it amps things up. It makes everything so much more electric, so much more important, seemingly. So I think that's one reason. And as well, we are in a period of warming, and that is obvious. You just have to step outside.
Yeah, we can't ignore it. I mean, and we see these frequent and extreme weather conditions that you speak of. In fact, you talk about this weekly, every night. You can't ignore the signs, my friend. We need to do something about it because we know that you and I and everyone else is certainly having an impact on this situation. So how can we do better? What do we need to do as human beings to help Mother Earth? All right,
there's two facets to this, and that is two sides to this, and that is the overall picture globally, people, and what just the one person can do. I want to remind everybody that the science that's being pushed now to talk about climate change is not perfect. And no one solution is a panacea. You can't just say, okay, we're going to go to wind power, shut off all the coal plants, shut them down. We're going to go to air power or wind power. You can't do that. We're not set up for that. We're slowly, yes. And what we've done is we've kind of gone into gas with fracking, and natural gas is cleaner, but it's not a perfect solution, but it's going to get us from one to the other and get us away from coal. So what I'm saying is you can't just, throw the baby out with the bathwater. You've got to take these solutions slowly. I want to remind everybody who's as old as I am of the 1970s and early 80s. It's what I like to call paper versus plastic. When back in the late 70s, they told us all we were being bad stewards of the planet by cutting down trees and turning them into grocery bags. And we should turn our efforts to plastic grocery bags. And that turned out to be a horrible idea. That's like telling the owner of a dynamite factory he or she should clean their factory with fire instead of chemicals. It's just not a good idea. And it turned out to be an awful solution. So we need to take these steps slowly and surely on a global scale and not just jump into one thing. If you are looking for some answers to what is going on globally and nationally across the country in terms of the environment, I strongly urge you to go here on YouTube and tune into and watch something called Planet of the Humans. Okay. It's called Planet of the Humans, and it was produced by Michael Moore. And he got in a lot of trouble for producing this because it really shines a light on these quick panaceas and how they're actually harming the effort to clean up the planet instead of helping the effort. So that's the global idea. But Martha, I think you want to get into more, what can I do as a citizen, as a resident in the Valley? What can I do to be a better steward of the planet? I've got answers.
We don't want to be a part of the problem. We prefer to be a part of the solution. So if you would be so kind, my friend, to just offer some helpful tips that we can all do to contribute to a healthier environment.
The funny thing, Martha, I was putting this list together and I was doing some research on this list, and all of a sudden I was 1972, 5-year-old Bryan sitting in Mrs. Evans' kindergarten class at Ada Elementary in West Michigan.
I love it.
And this is the exact same list we were given then, with just a few tweaks. One of the key things that we urge people to do is to upgrade your home. Make sure that your home has modern windows, has the proper amount of insulation. That's very important, because what we're trying to do is lower energy consumption, because energy requires coal, natural gas, and things like that.
Sure.
Until, decades down the road, until we get to no fossil fuel generation of electricity, sad fact is we've got to use fossil fuels, and that means the less you use, the less they have to produce. Insulation and windows and LED light bulbs. Back in my day, they told us, when I was in kindergarten, they told us, take that 100-watt light bulb and use a 60-watt light bulb instead. But now you can use LEDs. I've got them in my house. They're fantastic.
We do as well, and it keeps things cooler in the house as well, Bryan.
Yes, they do not generate the enormous heat that other light bulbs, the old light bulbs, generated. Sorry, Mr. Edison, but the LED light bulb is much better. And your AC system, that poor old thing, I know, they're expensive, and you've been hanging on to that poor old thing for too long. Maybe it's time to upgrade, because the new AC systems, HVAC systems, are much more energy efficient. Also, just how you walk around your house and what you do, like closing the door. My grandfather, because we lived where it was cold, my grandfather was notorious for yelling at me, "Hey, close the door. What, were you raised in a barn?" So, just because now here in the Valley, don't let the air conditioning out of the house.
Right.
Close the door and turn off the lights, even if they are LEDs, and make sure that you unplug the device that you don't always use. I've got a little tag printer. It prints little tags for things to stick to, and I don't use it but once a month. So just unplug it. That's the best way to go about that.
Yeah.
And also your car. This is a big one. Maintaining your vehicle. Make sure that your tires are inflated. Make sure that they are up to snuff, and make sure you change your oil filters, and also slow down. I'm going to go back in time. Back in the 70s and 80s, we had to drive 55 miles an hour on our highways because we had an energy crisis, and that was a way to save energy, was to slow everybody down to 55. Don't drive 55 on Texas highways. They'll run you over. But you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
And maybe it's time to buy that new car that gets 40 miles to the gallon instead of the jalopy you're driving that gets 10 miles to the gallon. I've done that. And of course, plan your routes. That's important as well. I'm notoriously bad about this. I'll leave the house, go to the post office, come back. Oh, wait a minute. Leave the house, go to Johnny's and get some hardware or something. Oh, wait a minute. And do that repeatedly throughout the day. Where I live in the Valley, we really don't have a very decent recycling infrastructure. And I know McAllen has a fantastic.
We do. We have a huge blue bin right outside the garage, and we certainly are doing our very best to fill it up every week.
Let's take aluminum for example. Do you know it takes an enormous amount of? I wish I had the numbers in front of me. An enormous amount of energy to create aluminum from bauxite ore. To dig it out of the ground and create aluminum takes just an enormous amount of energy. To take an old aluminum can and remake it into more aluminum takes almost no energy. I mean, just very, very little. So that's one example of good recycling. Now, there's a lot of stuff that you just can't recycle. There's a lot of glass and a lot of stuff that they just don't want. But what you can do instead, or if you're in a place like I am, or in an area like I am that doesn't have an recycling infrastructure, is reuse. Now, here's my example. I use these things all the time. These are my big cups, and everybody wonders what's in my big cup.
I remember those big cups on your desk all the time.
But what I do is in the morning, I fill them full of iced coffee. And in the day right now, it's got iced tea. So that's my midday thing. And then in the afternoon or in the evening, I'll fill it back up with coffee, rinse it out in between. So that's 3 uses out of 1 styrofoam cup instead of basically throwing it away each and every time. Now, part of me does that because it's financially responsible for myself and my family, but the side effect is I'm not throwing 3 cups in the landfill. I'm only throwing 1 cup in the landfill. So that's a little something from me to you. If you can't directly recycle, try reusing.
Great tips, Bryan. Thanks so much for sharing those tips with us. The idea is for us to do what we can because every little bit helps. I do want to ask you to please pour that tea, or I don't know if it's coffee right now, into the mug that I hope you received. Do you have it right there?
Ta-da!
Yay!
Already done.
So we can toast to just doing our part and being contributors of a healthier climate, a healthier environment, taking care of Mother Earth so that our children and future generations can enjoy it for many, 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 many more years, Bryan.
You know, Martha, I'll say something, but right before we do this, I'll say that, even if you don't think that you're having a direct impact, at least you're making it neater and nicer and cleaner. Well, if nothing else, it looks better. It's nicer. This pandemic, there was one aspect of this pandemic that was odd, and that is that when everyone was trapped indoors, there were several observations of lakes, streams, and rivers and air pollution all cleaning up, all going down. It was amazing how fast that Mother Nature was able to recoup when people were indoors and not doing their usual thing. So that's a positive sign. I wanted to leave everybody with a positive note that Mother Nature is, she's powerful, and we don't need to abuse her, but at least we know that if we treat her right, she'll come back.
You are such a positive soul, and you were so kind to say the sweet things that you said at the very top. I want to end our conversation by saying you are such a ray of sunshine.
Yay for me.
And I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for you and for you agreeing to be on and share your beautiful mind with our audience on this subject. I really appreciate it, Bryan.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Salud to that. Salud, my friend. My best to your beautiful family, Diana and the kids, and all of my sweet family there at CBS 4 and KVEO. Thanks again, Bryan.
And the same to you.
Thank you. And coming up, creating opportunities for people living with disabilities. Why one Valley woman made it her mission to make a difference here in the Valley. We'll be back.
At DHR Health Clinics, our commitment is to be right here, ready for you.
Providing you with strength and confidence when all is uncertain.
We've taken every precaution to keep you safe so that you can continue keeping your loved ones close.
At DHR Health, we're going above and beyond to serve our community, from the front lines
to telemedicine consultations.
We won't stop going the distance.
Whether you need a procedure for medical necessity or a consultation with your specialist, come see us today.
DHR Health, taking care of all patients, COVID or not, for you, for life.
Join the Museum of South Texas History for an adventure and fundraising on October 3rd. Fandango, Masquerade de Oro moves from the museum to your home this year. Pick up your dinner from Santa Fe Steakhouse and a golden goodie bag filled with treats courtesy of HEB as we celebrate the museum's 50th anniversary. Socialize safely and use your cell phone for bidding. Are you up for an adventure? It's all for a great cause to support the museum's preservation and education programs. Call the museum for reservations or visit the website for more information. Let's celebrate safely and party with a purpose.
We give 100%. We do whatever it takes. We sweat the small stuff. Every day, every hour, for 20 years. To ensure that every child and every community we serve has a chance to succeed, compete, thrive. This is just the beginning.
We all have the ability to achieve what we want out of life. And when it comes to reaching our potential, There are no limits. It's what one organization here in the Valley believes, and its co-founder and president, Ms. Evelyn Cano with the Disability Chamber of Commerce, RGV, is here to explain how they're hoping to make a difference here at home. I want to welcome you, Ms. Cano, to Socialife. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us today.
Why was establishing this organization such an important mission for you on a personal level?
Well, it's very personal for me and my fellow co-founders, Stephanie Wilson and Esmeralda Leal, because all three of us have a personal connection to it. We are all parents of children who, some of them are adults, almost adults with disabilities. And for many, many years, we've been parents, and this is a path that has not been the easiest, but yet our children have come, forward and done well. So our mission is to connect with now individuals with disabilities who are adults, because we see this transition in our own children, and we see a need for what's to come as they transition out.
How has connecting in this time of COVID been going for you all, and how is the business community responded to the Chamber?
Very well. So the Chamber was founded in December of 2019, like I said, by three mothers of kids with disabilities. We had been very involved in the community for many years, but we knew they were growing up, and we knew that we needed to focus on the new need. And so we started to focus on employment. We thought this Chamber can do so much for the community, and yet at the same time assist, the current workforce. So our hope as a Chamber is that the businesses are open and inspired by what we're bringing to the table, which is a lot of corporate training. Sometimes there's a stigma, and there are myths, and then there's just basic fears, because you don't know what you don't know. And so I think businesses have no idea that there's an untapped labor market of underrepresented individuals who haven't been given an opportunity that can actually help increase their bottom dollar. So at the end of the day, it's interesting. Businesses in the Valley have been very receptive. They're listening, and they want to know more, which is exciting, because our Chamber is one of a kind. It's the fourth in the nation, actually.
I heard that. I heard that this was one of only 4 established across the country. How wonderful are we to have this here at home? How are you hoping that this is going to help and benefit our local economy, Ms. Cano?
Well, there are so many hopes for the Chamber, but we're going in steps. As this is a very ambitious goal, we hope that the local Rio Grande Valley businesses and employers open their doors to hiring at least 20% eventually of their workforce to be people of all abilities. We're talking about veterans who maybe are physically disabled, not only people with intellectual disabilities. And so it's a big goal. So we're going to go in baby steps. Right now, like we said, we're the 4th Disability Chamber of Commerce in the nation. We're an official 501c3, although we are a chamber, which means that there's just many opportunities. There'll be memberships, there'll be opportunities for networking, for corporate training, and we just know that it's a win-win. It's a win for the employers, and it's a win for these families who have been hoping for so long for their adult child, who's now an adult, to have this opportunity to intern or work somewhere and be productive citizens of their community.
Like I said earlier, everybody deserves that opportunity, because we all have the ability to contribute in really, really wonderful ways, Ms. Cano. How wonderful that this has been established and you're moving forward with this wonderful organization that you call the Disability Chamber, RGV here. How can we become a part of the family? How do we join?
Absolutely. So this year, because we're in obviously a challenging year with, our current situation with the pandemic, has been a bit of a transition year for us. We've been providing educational opportunities for our city, for counties, for local chambers. We've partnered up with Texas Workforce Commission, and we're doing these what we call disability etiquette trainings for free. So the way you become involved is you just find us on our local, Facebook or Instagram page, or you send an email to info@dccrgv.org. We put you on a schedule and we come to you. We provide this training just to start. Later on, we can customize a little bit more, but at the beginning, it's just like a basic disability etiquette sensitivity training to talk about inclusion and diversity in the workforce. And so that's how you get involved. Eventually, we will have memberships for small business, large businesses, nonprofits, organizations. But right now, all we want to do is provide education at the beginning as we transition in this pandemic year.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for creating these opportunities through the Chamber. We appreciate you coming on and giving us a better understanding of what you do. And we appreciate that so much. Thank you for your time. We wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. We're so excited. We appreciate the time.
Thank you, Ms. Cano. And coming up, Ms. K is going to show us how to toast with style. Don't go away.
McAllen feels different today. National emergency is changing everyday life in a place known for being social and open. But changing how we live doesn't change who we are, a community that makes the most of each day. We're still closely connected, even at a distance, working to make McAllen safer today and stronger tomorrow. Together, we'll look forward to the day when this emergency has passed and new reasons to celebrate begin. Until then, we'll make the most of McAllen.
Thank you, Martha, for having me. I'm here to tell you about my favorite cocktail or drink is champagne. Who doesn't love champagne? And I like it ice cold, just really, really cold. And this is a great brand. But I wanted to show you, this is actually a wine coaster, but if you're serving several people champagne, you could use it for your champagne coaster. And it is from Annie Glass, and this is made in California, and it's considered art for your table. Every piece is handmade, and this is 24 karat gold, and you can put it in the dishwasher. Now get that. And every piece is signed and dated on the back. And this is the latest from Mackenzie Childs. It's from their Blooming collection, and it has a beautiful floral scene on the flute part of it. It's tall and slender and just beautiful. I have several of these in my collection. This is from Italy. It's from Vietre, and it's just gorgeous. It's got lots of gold on it, and it's a little bit contemporary looking. It's very colorful, and I just love it. It comes in 4 different colors, and they're all very popular, or you can mix them. I have several of these in my collection, and of course it's all presented on this darling bar cart, which is really good looking. It has a mirrored top. It reminds me of the mod era, and it's really fun. So come see us. Thank you, Martha.
Oh, those are so beautiful, Kay. Thank you so much. And we want to thank all of our special guests, especially you, for joining in on the conversation. Until next week, we leave you now with the art of socialifing.